Hello everyone, welcome to World Book Day. I'm Dr. Johnson and I'm going to bring you science's version of World Book Day this year. Very excited to share with you my story of how I became an author and a science teacher and why. I've also got a very exciting invitation for you at the end of this video where you have the opportunity to get creative and to write your own short story or poem. So I'm just going to pull down this heavy book off the shelf, dust it off a bit. There we go. This is my first book, Self-Assembling Peptide Hydrogels. This is my thesis, so it's got all of my research in, 256 pages worth. Look at that, what a beast. But guess how many people have read it? 4. That's not very good. As scientists, we want to be able to communicate our ideas effectively with people like you, and I don't think this is the best way to go about it. So what I started to do was think about the chemical elements and what were they like? What would they be like if you met one of them? What would they say to you? Could I personify them so that students and adults could understand a little bit more science through storytelling? Most of the time, we just see chemical elements as symbols on the periodic table, or we might see kind of chunks of metal, but they give us information, but they don't really tell us what they're like. So here's the front cover of our book, Journeys to the Chemical Elements, and this book combines art, chemistry and storytelling. I wrote the stories and my friend Lise Van Hee, she did these incredible paintings for each one of the elements to really try and bring them to life. I'm going to read you 3 stories from our book. The first one is oxygen, and we all know oxygen, we breathe it in, but it's actually the most abundant element on the planet and it has lots and lots of uses. So I wondered, what would it be like if I went to meet oxygen? What would it be like? What would it want to say to me? Are you ready? Truly omnipresent on Earth, oxygen is found everywhere. From the highest reaches of the stratosphere, the thin blue line of the ozone layer, to the deepest layers of rock that form the ground we walk on. The most abundant element on Earth, oxygen joins with others to make up our bodies and those of all plants and animals. The air we breathe connects us to all life, past, present and future. Oxygen's form shows its elemental nature, a timeless, bright white sphere with a thin blue shell. This sphere is as light as a feather, yet as strong as an ox. It shimmers and glistens in the light as it gently expands and contracts. A force of nature present across the universe, oxygen spans across vast, endless galaxies and the cosmos. Oxygen's purpose for being is for everything to live, truly live in great respect and love for ourselves and others. Just as oxygen molecules have been breathed in and out by every plant and animal on the planet, so too have many people across time connected with the energy of oxygen. These people will also have experienced the absolute and pure joy that spills over when activating the oxygen within them, a rushing energy through the body that occurs when we are truly connected to this life-giving presence. Now let's have another one. This is phosphorus. And the inspiration for this story came from that phosphorus. It burns really brightly in air. It's actually used in matches. So let's start. Phosphorus. Look at me, Phosphorus says powerfully, appearing suddenly out of the darkness. She has bright, piercing yellow eyes and a face like a panther. Building a large ring of fiery yellow flames, her nimble figure dances outside of the fire, holding and containing it. Phosphorus is as black as the darkest starless sky, a warm, rich, velvety, full blackness. A blanket of pure love and protection. Ever present in the space around the Earth, Phosphorus wraps herself carefully around our planet, providing shielding rings, absorbing unwanted energies and cloaking our world in a soft, rich blackness. She came into our universe when it was formed, spreading over space, holding the darkness and holding the light of suns within. You're in serious trouble, she explains bluntly, unless you can look deep into the night, deep into the fullness of the blackness, and deep into your shadows. And then the next one, have you heard of neon before? Neon is a noble gas and it burns very, very brightly. It's actually used in lights as well. So this one, I was inspired by the idea of neon being in the atmosphere and riding the fiery winds on high. Travelling high above raging fiery seas, bracing winds batter a thick gaseous atmosphere. Neon occupies the highest parts of the upper layers of the stratosphere, far from any humans. His huge form swells and billows in vast fiery winds. 2 enormous dragons rise up exultantly to join him. Their magnificent bodies are awesome, full of raw elemental power and dynamic movement. The dragon's power weaves along the spine, rushing energy through the body. They bring fearlessness, safety, and assurance with their majestic presence. Together, Neon and the dragons ride the stormy ocean waves and brave the strongest gales. Neon and his dragons arrived eons ago to bring a message to the inhabitants of the earth. He hollers out across the wild storm, "No slaves, no masters." Neon calls us to fully express our whole selves, our wildness and our freedom with no holding back. He empowers us to roar across the storm, the message of truth that all humans should know. We are free. So that's what I had to share with you today. Shall we look at how you could have a go at writing your own story or poem? You could start to think about what do these elements look like. You can find images online. Here we've got hydrogen, gas clouds, bismuth, this is beautiful shiny element, multicolored, and carbon, diamonds. And then you've got some more strange elements like promethium that you could think about. And then you could do a little research. What properties does it have? What kind of reactions might it do? Start to get some ideas of how it might interact with its environment. Also, how was the element formed? This is a supernova. Did you know that lots of the elements that we have on Earth, especially the heavy metals, they're formed when a star goes supernova and blasts them across the universe? Where might you find that element now? You could also think about, how does your meeting with the element begin? How do you find them? Do you go into a cave and find a crystal lying there? And what might the element share with you? How might your meeting go? What might you discuss? This is, I've got 3 examples of Year 7 students' work from my previous school, and I really wanted to share them with you as some really cool ideas that you could use. So this carbon, this is from James, and he looked at the different forms of carbon and wove it into a story. So let's read it together. The day I met carbon, I was making a fire with charcoal. Then, just as it was burning, out he hopped onto the floor. He was wearing black clothes and was covered in diamonds. I then asked if he could lend me a pencil, and to my surprise, he turned into a giant pencil made out of graphite. I then realised I was late for school, and I was shocked to find he had turned into a carbon fibre racing car, and we got there just in time. That's why carbon is the best element. Isn't that story great? It shows you all the different forms of carbon, and James has very cleverly woven it into a story. Love it. And this one is strontium, and Jess got the inspiration from fireworks. So she did a little bit of research and she found that strontium makes red fireworks, makes that beautiful colour red in fireworks that we have. Let's read her poem together. Strontium. You know me, but you don't. You know my function, but not me. You watch me every year. My bonding is boring, but sometimes not. I bubble and fizz, not for long. Then boom! I love scaring dogs and cats. Some would call it my job. You know me, but you don't. I love the mystery in that story. Like, you think you know me, but there's a side to me that you might not know. I love this poem. And the last one I'm going to share with you is a poem called Oxygen from Lucy. She flies through the air, but she is the air. Humans breathe her in, then breathe her out. She's alive, but she is not born. She is dead, but she's alive. She is a part of everyone. She never rests, but she's never tired. She has a name that we spell and pronounce correctly. But what is her real name, we will never know. But for now, we will call her Oxygen. Isn't that poem beautiful? It really shows us how timeless oxygen is. Another fantastic example. I can't wait to see what you guys are going to come up with. So here's my invitation to you, everyone. You are going to choose an element, any one of your choice, and then you're going to do a little bit of research. Don't have to do very much at all. Maybe what colour is the element? Where might you find it? How is it formed? What does it react with? And then compose a fictional short story or poem of a meeting with this element. What would you find? What might you talk about? What questions might you have for that element? And then you're going to share it with us by uploading it to Padlet. We can't wait to read your poems and stories. Thank you very much for listening and look forward to reading them all.